I heard you mention that in Goldie's Revolution Live, and I just generally the frustration for me is feeling really useless. While the people of Iran are suffering so much. So that's why I was just really curious what you had in mind, or what if there are things we could do even right now.
I mean, I was hoping what I'm trying to do with this group is to, once we get to 10,000 members, to have strategy sessions in this group, not just about discussing politics, but have a period of time where we evaluate the best strategies that a group are like us could take, and how we could use our media platforms and the best minds that we have in these groups to come up with the best actions that we could take and spend money on, or mobilize people, or hire experts or lawyers or whatever, for what would be the most, what actions we could take here as a community. But before we get there, we need to get to a certain number where we could have that effect. And also, when we get to that number, we also need to then spend a lot of time to make sure that whatever action we're taking will actually be the best, not just a good thing that we could do, but the best thing we could do. So that's why I'm thinking that we could turn this community in, it's called the discussion group, but it's meant to eventually become a think tank, but also eventually to grow into becoming a political action, um, you know, committee or something like that, that we mobilize people, that we make actions, and globally, not just like a focus on a specific country. But again, this is a much longer term thought, because I think that we're not there yet. But that's what I had in mind. What did you have in mind, Sadato?
No, I was just thinking in terms of, like, for instance, I looked at Nufti. Is it called Nufti? And different organizations that I could support. I try to support obviously you and Goldie as much as I can, but just looking for ways that I could be more impactful. Besides just going to rallies, and there are communities I know. Like Goldie mentioned one, I didn't know about it. It's some pro-Iranian groups. Maybe what we need to do is maybe the different groups need to organize into one big group. I don't know. I don't know what the efforts are. I'm in the U.S., so I'm focused on the U.S. I'm sure Canada has its groups. I'm sure you have about groups in your local area. Like I've gone to parties where we've had like these kind of speeches and so forth with a lot of Persian diaspora.
So I don't. I've seen people trying to merge groups, and that usually doesn't work, because people have their own thing. So it's best to work on building something from the grounds up, rather than trying to, because they have their own thing and they don't want to mix it. But usually they don't want to mix it with other people, right? But I do think that we could eventually get to a position where people have a, like, we could actually look at other companies, other organizations that do political activism very effectively, Nufti, but there's a whole bunch. We could also look at our enemies, right? Like all the political organizations that are spreading. You could learn from your enemy. Like, we shouldn't like avoid them. We could look at what the people who are spreading, I don't know, woke garbage, anti-Israeli ideas, what, like the ones that are the most effective, look at their models and figure out what they're doing right that is making them more effective, and try to copy the things that they get right the most. But we obviously going to use it for the opposite purpose, right? Where we're pro liberty, right? This group is supposed to be promoting liberty globally. And then once we get to the position where we have some momentum, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We look at what other people have done and have proven to work. And then we'll come and we will have like strategy discussion, specific times that will be focused not on just discussing global politics, but on strategizing. And then we will come up with a whole bunch of list of proposals of what would be the most effective thing to do. And then we will have the community members, like we will have a voting process so that the entire community is involved. and everybody who's defending one action will make the case for it, and then we will allow a period of time where people could vote for it. We could have debates about it, different people promoting their own strategy over other people, so people could listen to the defense for their strategy and against other strategies before the vote is casted. And that way we will have like wisdom of the crowd from the, that's why we need to get to a certain number to get the benefit from the wisdom of the crowd, because the numbers need to be high so that the votes will be significant enough to choose the best option going forward. What do you think about, by the way, that structure? That would be like, it would be democratic
So,
and would choose what the community. You go on.
so would it be like a PAC, like a political action committee, or like a lobby kind of political lobby? Like
So
I know
there's no
NIAC is very
limit.
effective. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no limit. Okay, so if
Mhm.
those are those what you mentioned on the direction that the community could go to, is those are two or three of a limitless number of things that we could consider. And I mean, if we go with a pack, that would require fundraising and stuff like that. But I see other people want to respond to this, which is interesting. So I see Susie put a 2 in the chat. So Susie, do you want to go first, and then Ali could tell us who wants to also respond?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I understand like why you would want things to be so democratic. I speak from experience when I say like that causes things to slow down to a snail's pace. And so
Mm.
obviously there's a lot of things that are attractive about that model, but the problem, like, I have a lot of experience with managing coalitions. I mean, I used to have to do it for my job, and like it's a you can very quickly end up in a position where it's like death by 1,000 committees. Why do we have 1,000 committees on this? Why are we constantly creating new committees? And why does everyone in this committee like have a voice? Like it can very, very quickly turn into too many cooks in the kitchen situation. And not everyone's voice is as equally valid, to be honest. And a lot of people who have no business, like inserting themselves into the business of a certain committee, suddenly become extremely opinionated, and then half the time is spent managing personal politics versus actually getting stuff done. So as a very like executive minded, like direct person, that kind of stuff drove me crazy, because it can very quickly turn into like managing a lot of feelings instead of just getting things done. And I never want to wish death by committee on anyone.
That is such a good point. And Susie, this is the reason why we want to I want to wait a long time before we actually take that step, because I think we need to consider everything, including what you just mentioned, before we end up doing this. Because if we do it too soon, we might do it wrong, and then fixing it will be so much more difficult than just doing it right from the beginning. So this is exactly the reason why I don't want us to, like, I know we're like, some people want to do this right away, but having this conversation and many other conversations before we decide how do we want this community to evolve, and what you said just shows that we need to slow this down until we figure out exactly what's the best way to go forth with this. And I'm so glad that you have so much experience on this, because you're going to be, I hope, like, I could like contact you and ask you questions as we do this, as we grow. I know you're busy, but sometimes I will talk to you about it.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah,
I mean, I have to do something with this trauma. No, I'm kidding. Put it to good use. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Before we go to the other responses, and Susie, it's so great to have, like, I love hearing you, because we don't get to hear from you. So every time you open your mic, I get just so happy. So thank you for being here. And just quickly before we go to other responses, Halda in the give us a super chat. Thank you so much, Halda, saying love the idea of a think tank, a political activist committee. Exactly, that's what I want us to do. And guys, by the way, for the people on YouTube watching this, you could join this discussion group that eventually is going to be a think tank and eventually a political activist community committee. You could join it by, the link is in the chat, the link is in the bio, in the description, and also in the QR code on the top left of the screen. And thank you, Halda, for the super chat. And Roman Viking is also saying, can we maybe compare the political realities on the ground in different countries for inspiration, visualize specifics, different outcomes? Yes, that's actually Roman Vikings. I will tell you about that. I have so many ideas. I have too many ideas, and that's one of them. And I need to stop, somehow find the way to make the voices in my head stop speaking with all these ideas, because we need to focus. But that's one of the ideas that I have. Anyways, let's go to the other responses. Oh,
Danny?
So one other problem about leveraging wisdom of the crowds is that we have a strong selection bias in this group. So if we're wrong on some major issues, we're much less likely to get pushback from the crowd than we are to convince people who disagree with us to just not join because they decide we're too crazy to spend their time on.
well, I mean, that's why I'm trying to call the open discussion groups that we have, that is open to everybody, trying to frame it as a debate area eventually, where we basically bring in people with shit ideas to join as well, so that we could have people challenging us there. So the premium and the VIP discussion groups will be areas where it's just basically most of us who are liberty minded there. But the open discussions will basically eventually be a place where people who are, I don't know, anti-Israel, pro-Islam, and pro-woke ideas on the left or whatever to come in as well. And basically we will welcome them there, and we'll make it more, those discussion groups will also be more interesting to people who want a challenge, who want to debate. So that's what I'm thinking those events would be for on our calendar. But good point.
Next is Jeffrey.
Yeah, Susanna brought up a lot of good points. I can actually reinforce them with my own experiences and observations, both within organizations, political, think tank, and otherwise, as well as freedom movements. Not the least of which is, if you don't know how to manage organizations, inevitably it becomes this battle of the personalities, and everybody's trying to co-opt the group mission to serve their own personal aggrandizement, and it undermines the ability to even realize any of your goals. To that end, if you want, I'm more than willing to train how to do that. I'll do it for nothing. Before that's done, though, I want a memorandum of understanding, because if I'm teaching, I don't want to have to battle people's personalities. I've dealt with that way too many times, particularly in Ukrainians diaspora. All of it, I have the receipts, and I'll show you just what not to do. I think it would be extremely helpful if you actually took advantage of that training. I mentioned this to Ali on his show right before Mullah douchebags, mass reported him to try and stop him hammering them flat. I mean, again, I very much appreciate what Susanna said, because she's not wrong.
Awesome. Okay, who's next? Can we move
Thank you. Jose is next.
Okay, can we after
we
Jose
can move.
Okay, and I have 2 super chats after Jose. Oh, actually, we have Samantha as well. I'd like to hear what Samantha has to say. So Jose and Samantha, can you do it very short, and then we go to the next super chats and then the next topic?
Yes, very quick. Will the army use guillotines?
No. Jose?
I'm trying not to bust out laughing here right now. I just want to give you one warning about a pure democracy. Greece went bankrupt because of a pure democracy. Okay? Their social security system couldn't take it because they kept giving the people that were no longer working raises every year, and again and again and again and again. If you make more money at your retirement age than you ever did as a worker, there's a problem with the system. Okay? So
All right.
I'm
So
not
we're doing very
100%
short-
sure. Yeah, I'm not
cool.
very sure that democracy will be the way to go. Complete democracy.
Yeah, I never believe in pure democracy. I always advocated against pure democracy, never doing pure democracy. Yeah. And Sketch, I know when I sometimes I say very short and then you don't do very short, but if I saw you have a 2 as well, but can you do it this time? Can you do it very short before we go?
I would just like the Democratic vote against democracy. I appreciate that this democracy has voted against democracy. And I think it's just kind of poetic justice that we're using Armin's, argument for democracy and taking it to vote against democracy. I think it's fantastic.
So guys, what I believe in is limited democracy, and also for governments, not community online communities and political action committees or private organizations do not necessarily have to be democratic, right? A limited form of democracy, absolute democracy always fails. A limited form of democracy, like a republic with a constitution that works for governments, that's the best model for governments, as long as it's limited. And for companies, private groups, political council, whatever, nonprofit organizations, you could have it democratic, you could have it completely non-democratic, and it wouldn't be a violation of people who believe in democracies for government. I do want to do the super chats really quick before we go to the I think the last topic. Glad Susie is still here so that we could read this. Amir saying few shekels for Susie Ranjar. I felt great. It felt great. Okay, Amir, thank you so much for the super chat. And then we have, I miss Susie Rants. Susie Rants were their own segment and they were beautiful, and I miss them. And Van Dyveld with a super chat saying, I'm for AI dictatorship. AI is nicer, more validating, better therapist than any human ever has been to me. Oh my God, that's very sad. You need to meet more humans. Okay, but I'm not for AI dictatorship at all. Okay, and that might backfire, Van Dyveld. And I hope you find a human that could be genuinely validating and nice to you, so you don't have to resort to AI. But thank you for the super chat. I'm pro AI, by the way. I just think the reason why I'm pro AI is because automating a lot of the work that we do gets to help us focus on our humanity. But I don't want AI to take I don't want, like, this, what you're suggesting is getting AI to do those things that humans should be doing. But anyways, thank you for the super chat. I know it's a joke, by the way. I know I'm taking it too seriously. White is saying, I became active in politics in 1969. One thing the old new left did was networking. They created small groups that worked on their own project and came together only when needed, appealed to more issues. Okay, that's an interesting model. I'll keep that in mind. And then we have Jedi saying, I hope Ali's YouTube can get back up. We're going to be talking about it soon in about 40 minutes. We're going to go live with Ali, and we're going to be talking about Ali's YouTube channel going down, and we're going to strategize, well, not going down, not being able to live stream, and we're going to strategize how to get it back. Oh, so by the way, guys, you guys all know what happened, right? Ali, I hope you guys know what happened. So Ali's YouTube channel, we were trying to get it to 1,000 subscribers, and then YouTube thought we were showing the regime forces basically teaching how to use guns to children, and then YouTube thought that we were the live stream, like we, the hosts, were holding guns, even though we showed our hands on camera, like, look, YouTube, we're not holding any guns. And then now Ali can't stream anymore, and we got to 700 subscribers. And he appealed it, and within minutes the appeal was rejected. And this is a glitch so many people are complaining about, like, not even, I'm seeing, like, this is fucking retarded AI stuff that can't tell the difference between who's holding the gun. I saw even so many non-political channels complaining about this, channels that are focusing on kids stuff, and the kids that were holding fake guns, like toy guns, and their channel is now can't stream anymore. The AI can't tell the difference. It's so stupid that if your AI sucks this much, then don't fucking use it. And don't tell us that there was a manual review when it was obviously an AI review. Yeah, and I hope we could get it back. If we don't get it back, we'll have to build it from scratch again. And then Melissa saying, long live liberty. Oh my God, that's so beautiful. Yes, LLL. Long live liberty. I'm going to copy that. And then we got another super chat from Amir saying 10 out of 10. Join this amazing group discussion. Armin Army recruiting. Okay, so but you know, our Armin Army is fun for now, but I want to make sure that this group becomes not just the whole point of community, so that we don't focus on just one person, right? But yes, but that's fun to say. Armin Army. We're gonna turn that into a merch. Armin Army on, and also Armin the Iranian people. Armin the Iranian people. I think that was Goldie's idea for a merch. So we might actually do that as well on a t-shirt. And thank you, Amir. Thank you for
I
the
want
super chat.
royalties.
Royal. Wait, was that your idea? Oh yeah, that was your idea in the chat. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yes, which you did not credit me today on Goldie's stream. You said some guy.
I forgot. I will send you royalties. I will send you royalties in the okay, sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. Those are the super chats. And surprisingly, we made it to more than 10 super chats, because usually the stream that is about the school discussions, that usually doesn't make it to 10 super chats. So this is surprising. And thank you guys. Okay. Who's next?
Shauna is next, and the topic is, what is European federalism?
What is European federalism? Hold on, I'm trying to write it down. Hold on. What is European? Okay, you know what? You could get started. Go ahead.
Okay. There was a conversation with a guy in school who called himself a European federalist. I didn't know what that was. I had to look it up. I'm still a little bit confused. I also don't like it instinctually. There's something about it that really, really bothers me. It looks like an empire, and I go full Protestant and just want to stab the papists. Sorry, you guys. I don't mean literally. I mean that's what my brain goes to for historical reasons. But I would love to know what you think about it. It seems like an extension of the EU. It seems like what the EU already wants to do. The problem is that the EU is already effing up, like it's making terrible decisions for its member states. From my opinion, it's going open borders. It's going anti-nuclear. It's relying on America. Well, okay, Europeans have always relied on America to fight their wars. They always need us. Apparently, they love to have us be their sacrificial lambs. But that's not new. But they haven't really been investing in the military.
I'm looking into this. This is the shittiest idea of all time. What the fuck is this? I'm just looking into it. Yes, this is a horrible, horrible idea. So European federalism is a political movement aiming to unite European countries into a single sovereign superstate, often called United States of Europe, instead of the current system where independent nations make agreements with each other. A new central federal, holy shit, this is a shit idea. A new central federal government would control overarching issues like a unified military and foreign policy, while individual member states would keep control over their own local laws. This is a huge threat. Hold on. This is the greatest threat to national sovereignty of European countries that I have ever fucking seen. Go on. Sorry, you go on.
Oh, I was gonna say it reminds me of the papacy all over again, like the Holy Roman Empire all over again, where it's literally just that, but without Christianity. That's what it looks like to me. That's why I said like it makes me want to like get mad.
I don't know about your feelings, but I could tell you why actually politically this is a shit idea. I could give you different reasons.
Well, it seems like a bad idea because they have different identities. These countries, these nations were formed for very specific reasons based on identity. They are not the same. Europeans are very tribal. They're very different than the US in a lot of ways. So that's why I think it's a terrible idea.
US
but
is
go
one
ahead.
country. US is one country with one national identity, with one goal, with one set of values, with one language. That's why we have the United States. Okay, this is not at all
one constitution.
One constitution. So that's why United States makes sense as a nation, as a federal nation. This does not make sense. Okay, so here's the reasons why this is a shit idea. First of all, loss of national sovereignty, member states would lose their independent power to make ultimate decisions on critical issues like foreign policy, defense, and national budget. One. And then we have the democratic deficits. We have concentrating power in a central Brussels government creates an elitist technocratic system that is disconnected from the everyday needs of local voters. That's two. Yeah, I'm assuming the capital would be in Brussels, right? That's what I'm assuming, right? And then we have economic mismatches. Europe has vastly different regional economies. A rigidly unified fiscal and monetary policy can severely hurt poorer nations or those with different economic structures as they lose the ability to adjust their own currencies or interest rates. And then what you refer to, Shana, cultural friction. Europe is immensely diverse in languages, histories, and cultures. Attempting to artificially manufacture a single European nation risk erasing national identities and fueling basically radical backlashes from all sides. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even get the Scandinavians are the most homogenous of any kind of related group, and they can't even be under one country. So I have no idea how you're going to get France, Germany, Great Britain, Spain, and Italy all on the same page. These people don't even like half of their own country, let alone trying to get their neighbors involved. I think it's insane. Yeah. But I just wanted to confirm that I wasn't crazy. I also feel like the reason it exists is because they think that's a way to they're competitive with America.
Yeah, actually, if they do that, they will never be able to compete with America. But if they do that, they're going to end up fall farther behind. They think, oh my god. Okay, so the whole point of a nation state is to have a nation, and nations cannot be artificially made. Okay, you either have a nation or you don't. So a nation is already a group of people that have a glue that connects them together. They have a bond based on something. And it could be different things. It could be good things. It could be bad things. But there's a glue, a certain group of people within a geographical area. There needs to be something that unifies them for us to be able to call them a nation. And then once you have a nation within a geographic area, then you have a state that is for that nation and it's a reflection of that nation. Okay, so you have the state that serves the nation and it's also a reflection of that nation. It's really hard to look at the diversity of Europe and call the entirety of that a nation. There's no way to do that. I mean, even if you look at just like the UK is like 4 nations, right? But they can't look at France and Poland and Italy and Spain and be like, yeah, that's one nation. Like, no, that's not one nation. There's no way that you could refer to that as a nation. So that would not work.
Yeah, I completely agree. Even some of the nations, you have to have something. Even France couldn't hold on to Switzerland and Belgium. Like, they had to eventually let those nations go and let them become their own things. I just don't see how it would possibly work. But I think that I think that Europeans, this is my opinion, I think Europeans are not the ones that follow you, obviously. Your fans accepted, but I think a lot of Europeans don't understand America and how it works because we're so big, and on paper we're very, very diverse.
To be fair to Europeans, I don't think a lot of Americans understand America either. To be fair to Europeans, but yeah, go on.
Yes, I mean, I agree with that. Actually, I think Americans don't understand America largely because we haven't experienced anything else. To be like, only half of us have passports, and that's an increase from the last 2 decades. So I don't disagree with that. But I think a lot of Europeans don't understand America as a nation. They just see us as very diverse, and because we have all these states, it looks on paper very similar. And so I actually think this whole idea of a European federalism is basically just them thinking that they can compete with America. I think that's what it's born out of, but that's just my opinion. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't crazy for thinking it was terrible. But yeah,
right.
that's it. That's all.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
done.
So, guys, like I know some people might want to talk about this, but because I'm out of time, you guys could talk about it after I leave the discussion group. I just want to say that, by the way, Shauna, that was a very interesting the topic. Thank you for that. And also, Samantha, you also had a very, very interesting, fun topic today. So thank you for that. And also for people who are interested in joining our discussion groups, again, one more time, the link is in the description. The link is also in the chat, if I could get it in the chat one more time. And you could also get it in the bio of our, and also you could scan the QR code on the top left, and that will bring you to our discussion group. And you could join our future discussions.